We're live. It
Still.
said it. It says we're live. Testing, testing. Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. We're starting
Oh,
off.
shut up.
We're starting off pretty good. Well, it's Tuesday night. It's 7:00. You know what time it is?
What time is it?
Time for the right stuff. Here we go. Jenny, summer is almost over.
No, shut up.
Well, do you have any people on the patio?
No.
So no people on the patio interviews?
I think they all learned their lesson because everyone talked about it and no one's coming here.
Oh, no. Well, that's too bad because we could use them tonight. We had a lot of fun with them last week. So, Jen, today's show is titled, Huh? Because so many news stories made me go, huh? And so I want to start with, you remember last week we had the Fauci awards for gullible people.
Yes, I remember.
So this week we have two contestants for the Fauci award. So the first one takes place in a park in Philadelphia where a young lady was walking her emotional support animal. Guess what that animal was?
Oh, I saw an alligator.
Oh, an alligator. Watch
I
this.
actually saw that. What's wrong with your video? Why is it all staticky and nothing?
Well, that was the sprinklers in the background.
Oh, okay.
There was no
It didn't have a muzzle. There was no muzzle on the alligator.
There was no muzzle on that alligator. So she's got an emotional support alligator. So
that was Florida, right?
No, Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia. I'm sorry, I missed that.
So what do you want to bet that in a year's time she's back on the news as that alligator snack?
100%.
Oh, look who's joined us. It's our OG, Leticia Remauro. How are you, Lucille?
My grandmother. I saw Lucille. Lucille came to the patio Sunday for Girls' Day. We had Sunday afternoon.
And Grandma Joe's with us tonight. Wow, thanks for joining us, ladies. We're happy to have you and all of our other 7 viewers. Our ratings are plummeting.
We're doing our job.
Our goal is to get you away from podcasts and into society doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, so the girl with her emotional support alligator was the first, runner-up for the Fauci Awards. And here's the second. And then when we're done, you guys decide who we should give the Fauci Award to. So put it in your comment section. Watch our New York Governor, Kathy Hochul. She's our runner-up.
And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town. Get out of town. Because you don't represent our values. You are not New Yorkers.
What values? There are no values here anymore.
I was vaping, and it's not pot. It's regular menthol vape. So Republicans are not New Yorkers. We should all leave. All 5 million of us should leave, and we should.
Good. Like we want to stay here.
So who's gonna pay for all the degenerates that are coming off on the buses? Go back to the flames of hell. Yes,
Lucille, she's vaping.
You caught me vaping. Yes, you did. But like I said, it's not the funny stuff.
The crack pipe.
Maybe if I did vape the funny stuff, we'd be funnier and maybe we'd have more viewers. All right, so who should get the Fauci Award for gullible people? Is it the emotional support alligator or is it Kathy Hochul?
Well, are they really gullible or just idiots?
Well, they're well, they were idiots, definitely. Jen comes to South Carolina, your grandmother says.
I can't. We know why I can't. I have a few ties here.
Well, Lucille says to vape away. I have to, Lucille. It's the only thing that keeps me sane sometimes. Well, anyway, here is my choice. My choice for the Fauci Award would go to Kathy Hochul. I think that she's giving a false narrative that New York is not for Republicans, and we all know that's bullshit.
New York's not for anybody. Who wants to? She's doing everyone a favor by saying that. Everyone is leaving.
And who the hell's going to pay for all the libs and their handout programs if Republicans leave New York? We're the only ones that work. It's ridiculous. All right, the emotional support blow-up doll that ever can. Oh yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Oh, I need to show that video next week. That was the most fun morning I've had in my life when I woke up to that in the morning.
Margie Mastriano says the award goes to Kathy. I agree. And so here is our Fauci Award for gullible people, and that is going to be awarded to
it's so
Kathy.
Creepy.
It was supposed to be creepy. That's the whole idea of it. So Kathy Hochul gets that award, ladies and gentlemen, for today. But all right. So wait, hold on a second. I got to get rid of the award. Okay. So
this is because she's smoking pot.
I am not smoking pot. I do not. Listen, I always said that it doesn't matter. Pot should be legal, but now that it's legal and everywhere you go, it smells like skunk. I don't know.
We went to the feast last week, and every child there, except for my son, because he was with us, was high as a kite. It was like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds aren't annoying enough. They were all high. The place was disgusting. It was it was hell.
Keep them high, keep them stupid, keep them unemployed, take away the accelerated programs for smart kids. Let's just make sure that Americans are all.
You cannot buy whipped cream in a can right now if you're under 21, but you can smoke weed outside.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
They just reinforced the law this week. It was a law that you had to be 21 or over and show valid government issued ID to buy Cool Whip, like in the can, because kids are doing whippets.
Like Ready Whip?
Yeah, because kids are doing
No, come on.
So they just enforced it in full force in New York now, but yet my son can go out at 18 and smoke weed outside.
At 18, try 14, 15, 13.
Well, no, they're
well, they were on all the other drugs. They, for the drugs for ADHD, Adderall, and this one and that one. So why not? But I didn't hear about the whipped cream. How the hell did I miss that? Oh my God!
They just did it yesterday. They were talking about it.
That's insane. I mean. Okay.
Like, why no one implements laws? I just looked in the newspaper 3 days ago, and the security guards were standing there as a man took about 20 grand worth of clothes right out of the store and walked out with them, not in bags, on him, and he didn't do anything. But we're gonna ID for whipped cream.
I can just see it now. I'm sorry, young man. You cannot buy this can of Ready Whip.
And you cannot steal any spam, but you can go.
Right, you can't get spam. And now you can't get Ready Whip. Oh my God. Mickey Petrides is with us. Hey, Mickey, we're doing great. How you doing, Mickey? Oh, that's hysterical. Oh, I've got to look for some clips about this. So this is a Hochul rule. So the cops now are going to be, they're not going to be tracking down people with illegal guns. We are going to be tracking down 17-year-olds who are buying ready whip.
Well, that too, yeah. Now Adams is putting the cops back on the street in full force. The 50 and 60-year-old cops that have not been trained in 30 years to go get bad people and aren't allowed to touch them are going to be protecting us in the streets. So,
but what's the difference? They arrest them and then they let them right out of jail. Doing good. Going to Nashville in October to see Keith Urban. All right, Mickey, you go. I love Nashville. I think it's a great town. Oh my gosh. Well, listen. So amongst the ridiculousness that's going on, there is somebody that we love here, and we don't show enough of his clips, but he had a great interview this week. His name is Joe Rogan, and he managed to get Mark Zuckerberg to discuss the Joe Biden and the Hunter Biden story and how Twitter and Facebook actually suppressed it. Listen to this because you're not going to believe it. I actually took 4 clips out. It's a really long interview, and I would suggest everybody go to Rumble and get the Joe Rogan show. But listen to these clips. This is the first one. It's about why Facebook and Twitter actually suppressed the Hunter Biden story. Watch this.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
We had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have. If something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically, a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, if they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Either Mark Zuckerberg has a terrible speech impediment or something is wrong with your video because it's skipping.
Well, no, it's a terrible speech impediment.
No, because the alligator girl too. The alligator was skipping.
Okay, are you guys saying we're skipping? I don't see it skipping, or it might be Jen's technology again. But did you hear what he said, Jen?
I did.
The FBI came to them and said there's going to be a dump of disinformation. And so when Hunter Biden came out, they decided to reduce the algorithm for the Hunter Biden story. And they shadow banned the Hunter Biden story because the FBI told Facebook that there was going to be a dump of disinformation. So
Because the pictures of him and everything else are not true either. Those are fake. So of him
But-
smoking a crack pipe naked and
well, but obviously we know now all of that is true. And
oh yeah,
when
of course.
If you
And why
watch,
is he all of a sudden? How much is Joe Rogan paying him? Why all of a sudden is he opening up like that?
Lorraine Polly, FBI, that's right. So let me tell you why he's opening up. My opinion, because now that we know that it's true, and now that we have the whole situation with Mar-a-Lago and what's going on there, and the libs trying to write the narrative, against Trump again. He realizes Twitter is in the toilet, right? Twitter's in the toilet. Elon Musk went after Twitter and showed them that there's a lot of fake accounts. Twitter stopped all of anything you could. They stopped the New York Post. So Twitter is in the dumps. Facebook makes its money off of advertising, and so they reduced stuff to the extent that people left Facebook and went over to Truth Social now. So he doesn't want his investment to tank. So he's got to do something, say something, to let people know, why they were censoring it and to try and retain the conservatives on his platform. So where better to go than Joe Rogan to make this,
or this show.
Or this show, well, for our 8 viewers. Fortunately, we can take Joe Rogan's clips and
Is that our excuse? The FBI told us to cut the algorithm on StreamYard.
Right, the FBI is shadow banning us. But think about that. I mean, that's marketing 101, right? That's what we do for a living, and so we understand it. So instead of Zuckerberg seeing all the conservatives leave his platform and now not having anywhere to show advertisements to people who actually have money, because he not only does he have Facebook, but he has Instagram too, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to do something to combat Truth Social, which we always said that Truth Social would wind up being the place that all the conservatives will go, and the conservatives spend money, and so this is how what's going on. And you think the FBI, because who's behind the Mar-a-Lago stuff? The FBI.
No.
Who was behind the whole, Russiagate? The FBI. So the conservatives hate the FBI anyway. So go on Joe Rogan and talk.
I'm going back on MySpace. I'm going to find Tom on MySpace and join his club again.
But I think Tom is dead. Well, so listen, at some point during the interview, Rogan talks to Zuckerberg about how do you decide what's true and what's not, these fact checkers and stuff. And so Zuckerberg actually turns it back on Rogan. Listen to common sense Rogan with his answer, how he would have handled the Hunter Biden stuff with the New York Post. It's pretty good.
In the moment, you had reason to believe, based on the FBI talking to you, that it wasn't real and that there was going to be some propaganda. So what do you do?
Yeah.
And then if you just let it get out there, and what if it changes the election and it turns out to be bullshit? That's a real problem. And I would imagine that those kind of decisions are the most difficult. The decisions of what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do in that situation?
I don't know what I would do. I would have to really thoroughly. Well, first of all, you're dealing with the New York Post, which is one of the oldest newspapers in the country. So I would say I would want to talk to someone from the New York Post, and I would say, how did you come up with this data? Where are you getting the information from? How do you know whether or not this is correct? And then you have to make a decision.
No, that's too logical.
Imagine that. Checking the source, actually fact checking before you decide to fact check, right?
Imagine.
Call the Post, find out why one of America's oldest newspapers is reporting this story, and why the FBI gave you a call and said there's going to be a dump of disinformation. Call the New York Post, because historically the press has always been suspicious of government because government controlled the press and tried to control the message and everything else. But all of a sudden, social media, whatever government says, we're in. So is social media an extension of government and an extension of the politics, in America? I mean, he's going to talk a little bit about it. We have a couple more clips on the Rogan Experience. He's going to talk about the people who he put together to do his fact checking, because he tried to, in this interview, he really tried to distance himself from being the guy that, made the decision. So listen to his thoughts on who should be fact checking your social media.
One of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about is this, because to be in your spot must be insanely difficult. To have, no matter what decision you make, you're going to have a giant chunk of people that are upset at you. And there might be a right way to handle it, but I don't know what the fuck right way is.
Well, I think the right way is to establish principles for governance that try to be balanced and not have the decision-making too centralized. Because I think that it's hard for people to accept that, some team at Meta, or that I personally am making all these decisions. And I think people should be skeptical about so much concentration around that. So that's why a lot of the innovation that I've tried to push for in governance is around things like establishing this oversight board. So that way you have people who are luminaries around expression from all over the world, but also in the U.S.
So liberals.
Yeah. So liberals. but he calls them luminaries for expression.
That else, it stands for liberals.
And he tried to bring in one of the guys. He said he was appointed by a president, or was nominated by a president for a Supreme Court judge. He didn't make it, but he wound up being
fact checking on Facebook.
Yeah, well, he's a professor at Stanford now, and so
he's a liberal.
Yeah, right. He helped set things up for the fact checking up. Antonio, Yolanda, ciao. Yeah. So so liberals is right, Jen. And then finally, to further talk about Zuckerberg's point of view about social media and how it's different in America from the rest of the world. Watch.
In the Hunter Biden case that you talked about before, I don't want our company to decide what's misinformation and what's not. So we work with third parties and basically let different organizations do that. Now, I mean, then you have the question of, are those organizations biased or not? And that's a very difficult question, but at least we're not the ones who are basically sitting here deciding. We're not the ministry of truth for the world that's deciding whether everything is true or not. So I'd say this is not a solved problem. Controversies aren't going away. I think that it is interesting that the U.S. Is actually more polarized than most other countries. So I think sitting in the U.S., it's easy to extrapolate and say, hey, it probably feels this way around the whole world. And from the social science research that I've seen, that's not actually the case. There's a bunch of countries where social media is just as prominent, but polarization is either flat or has declined slightly. So there's something kind of different happening in the U.S.
Who's fact checking him? He needs to. The only place there's not social media is in the Congo where there's no internet.
Right, exactly. Oh, listen, I give him bells for going on Rogan, but listen,
he got paid. Trust me, he got paid.
He didn't get paid. He wanted to get his message out.
I get
to
what you're saying, but he
conservatives,
also
right?
got paid.
So he's spinning for us conservatives. He's trying to get us to stay on Facebook. He's trying to become likable to conservatives. He's trying to explain his fact checking, BS. But at the end of the day, they're still doing what the government asked them to do, and in particular the FBI. And basically at the root of all of this is the FBI, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. Tammy Morton, how you doing, Tammy?
But again, so when you do these fact checks, there's trigger words. So you get the trigger words like COVID. We'll say now we're going to be posted. But the CDC is going to come after us. But no, there's trigger words. But yet, like the guy that shot up the supermarket, whatever, I forget which. There's so many of them.
Buffalo.
No, was it Buffalo? But the weird one, it looked like a rat. He was talking. He was a cross-dresser, the young kid. He was talking about blowing up people, shooting people with rifles, killing people for 2.5 years, and he was never stopped.
Right. He was never censored, and he was never visited, and nobody went to his house to see if he
But
was
if you say the word Trump, now I'm really what?
Good. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Now
no, I'm going to say if you say the word Trump, if you say the word COVID, now we're going to have nothing. You're never. But if you say the word conservative, you automatically get bans. You get shadow bans automatically.
That's right. Well, listen, we can keep on asking these questions. Why? But we know the reason why. The situation is not, there's no justice and there's no fairness across the board about this. They have put their claws into social media, and they're utilizing I'm going to say the liberal and the elite are using social media to try to brainwash the masses. And they don't want the truth out. They want their messaging out. They want their narrative out. And the FBI is carrying out now, they're carrying out to the furthest extent all of this, because that you heard about what happened in Mar-a-Lago. First, say hi to Chris Cuddy. Hi, Chris. You sitting in traffic or are you home? We all know that there was a raid on Mar-a-Lago and that the FBI was at the center of it. And now we have, the United States Magistrate Judge Bruce E. Reinhart granted the FBI a search warrant for Mar-a-Lago. And what they were searching for, right, were documents that were not supposed to be removed from the White House, which is BS, because every president has a presidential library. There are documents that are removed, and there are opportunities for presidents to take documents with them. He's home and he totally forgot today was Tuesday. Well, you remembered at some point, so welcome. So now Trump, in his wisdom, realized what was going on and realized that they're trying to create a narrative of him having done something wrong. So he insisted that the affidavit that was given to the magistrate, who, by the way, was one of the lawyers on the Epstein case.
Yes.
And, he insisted that the affidavit be released. And so Friday, a heavily redacted affidavit was released. But, the words in the affidavit, the narrative inside the affidavit, they use words like espionage and counterintelligence. And I'm going to play, this has no sound. I just took some of the pieces so that we could take a look at it. the guy who swore it out, his name was redacted. I'm a special agent with the FBI assigned to the Washington field office, and then it was redacted. During this time, I have received training at the FBI Academy located at Quantico, Virginia, specific to counterintelligence and espionage investigations. Okay, so now let's think about this. The archives, right? The National Archives, they said that they were worried that there were some documents that he took that were confidential or top secret or just secret, and this all happened because somebody blew a whistle. And so there was conversation going back and forth. There was an actual letter going back and forth, requesting documents and, giving instruction to the Trump legal team. But somebody blew a whistle. And now we're starting to think that this whistleblower was actually one of either the Secret Service or somebody in the FBI who had knowledge of it. But listen, watch what this FBI agent says. What tipped him off to having problems. Okay, according to a CBS Miami article titled "Moving Trump Spotted at Mar-a-Lago." That was his first thing. And then I'm aware of an article published in Breitbart on May 5th, 2022. So he's saying he was tipped off, or these news articles that were out there lent credence to the claim that Trump took documents that he shouldn't have taken. Now, again, we're talking about the commander-in-chief, this man who had all the intelligence, who had all the information, who was making decisions about the national defense of our country. So this next, and the one thing that he said was that the documents weren't secure. And
they were behind, and they even said they were in a room with a padlock on it, but with guards in the home, but that wasn't good enough.
Secret Service 24/7 for the President of the United States. So how are they insecure? Well, here's what the DOJ counsel directed the Trump counsel about the documents. Accordingly, we ask that the room at Mar-a-Lago where the documents have been stored be secured, and that all of the boxes that were removed from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, along with any other items in that room, be preserved in that room in their current condition until further notice. So this concern, right, about documents that could lead to a national security problem, to getting in the hands of the enemy, which is what this whole document is set up to be: espionage, counterintelligence. That's what it's all set up to be. So they said keep it in a secured room in Mar-a-Lago. And this guy went over to he's a United States Magistrate Judge, Reinhardt, and gave him this 38-page affidavit and said, I believe that these items are not secure. So Johnny Lal is watching us. Hey, Johnny, it's Colleen and Johnny's account. I just had a wonderful weekend with Johnny and Colleen out in Vail, North Carolina. So good to have you here today. So, you say to yourself, what's going on here, right? The FBI raids a former president's home. We accusing him of espionage and counterintelligence. I mean, we're talking about documents. Well, what about the stuff that's in the man's head? He was president for 4 years. Has any other former president ever had this happen to them? Have they ever gone through with a fine-tooth comb, requested documents back, accused them of having, or if the documents were so highly classified, then why in the world didn't they say, we need all your documents back immediately? They said keep them secured because there's Secret Service on the staff, and because the man was the president of the United States. but they're trying to eradicate him as a president, period. They're going back. They're trying to tip off the media. They're leaking to the media. They're going back to Russia, right? Russiagate, which we know was all fake. They're trying to spark old stories in the news. January 6th, insurrection, all of that. And why? Why are they doing that? Well, because of this line. And be disqualified from holding any office under the United States.
They couldn't impeach him, so now they just moved on to this.
So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. They are literally trying to, I mean, what are they going to do? Give him a lobotomy so that he can't remember any of the top secret things that he was a part of? This is insanity. And if they could do it to the president of the United States, you bet your ass they're going to be able to do it to the American.
Of course.
So this is, this is the worst blemish on our American Constitution. This is the worst misuse of power that I have seen in my lifetime. And I've seen a lot of things, but this is the worst misuse of power. Don't forget FBI looking for Ashley Biden diary, going after parents at school board. That's true. And but 35K emails, hammers, and bleach are all good. That's true. I mean, so Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, and she did everything on her private server in her house, and then she scrubbed it clean. Nobody mentioned it again. Nope. No FBI showed up on her door. No FBI investigation about any of that. And Hunter Biden, going to Ukraine to make deals, going to China to make deals. Where's the FBI investigation on that? No, we just saw that instead FBI calls Zuckerberg and says, hey, going to be a drop of disinformation. You guys got to be vigilant. And so they shut it right down, especially just before an election. So if anybody believes that this is not a witch hunt, then I have a bridge to sell you. And who's at the base of it? It's the FBI. It is time, just on what Zuckerberg said, it's time for Congress to start to open up hearings on the FBI. But anyway, hardly anybody, if you listen to liberal media, they're saying that there could be an indictment. There could be an indictment. Every single news shows. So George Serentopoulos actually had, one of the liberal CNN lawyers on, the expert, and listen to what he had to say about the whole thing. This is interesting.
Just bringing our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So, Dan, we know the law says you can't take documents, official government documents, home. So, how do you assess the risk that President Trump will actually be indicted?
Well, look, nothing in the release of this affidavit is helpful to the former president. Nothing that we have learned in the last week supports his case. And with all of that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be indicted. I still believe that it's more likely than not that he probably won't be indicted. I think I'm turning into one of the few people out there who seems to think that, because there are just simply going to be a number of factors that go into this. It's going to include the fact that he's the former president of the United States. And some people will say, well, wait a second, why would he possibly be treated differently than anybody else? And the answer is because when you're the president or the former president, there are specific rules and procedures that apply. There are certain things you're allowed to do that other people aren't allowed to do that change the equation. And of course, despite the fact that everyone will say, well, we're just evaluating this on the law, there's really no such thing. Yes, there are words of the statute, but there's going to be some level of prosecutorial discretion here from Attorney General Garland.
Right, and that would depend on, in part, whether or not there's any evidence that the president was participating in some kind of obstruction of justice. If they just wanted to get the documents back, that would be one thing. But if there is evidence on either surveillance photo or witnesses that the president was involved in obstruction, that could change this equation.
It could, absolutely. And that's going to be the key question, I think, is how hard did he or somebody else try to avoid having these documents turned over, and why?
But the truth is never going to come out as long as they are ahead of the game. That's the thing. They have the power to stop everything from happening. The voting, the news, the social media, all of it is under control by them. So
and the Trump legal team, to their credit, and I think everybody ought to really read it. It's 38 pages, but half of it's redacted. So the words that you see in that affidavit the most are counterintelligence, espionage, enemy of the state, your foreign enemies. So they're painting a picture with this affidavit. They're painting a picture of Trump as someone who was the president of America to undermine America, which is, to anybody that remembers remembers the years of.
Remember when you could get gas and you can actually live?
That's right.
You had a job without getting a shot.
Right. When your business was free to operate, you
could buy food. We're about to go into the biggest recession ever in history.
Yeah. But it's a mind fuck for the American people. And the goal, like Stephanopoulos said, Stephanopoulos, well, if they see that he obstructed them from taking any of the paperwork, well, there's a letter included in that affidavit that the Trump lawyers requested that be included in everything whenever anything went before any judge, to include this letter. And the letter clearly states, I don't want to read it all now because I'll put you all to sleep, but what the letter says is that the NARA, which is not not the NRA, but the National Archives, they requested documents from him in February, and they gave them 15 boxes in February. Then they wrote back, no questions asked, nothing. We understand you might have some boxes that could be, have secret or top secret or whatever, blah, blah, blah on it. Can you, go through and look? And so, even though Trump declassified these documents when he left, which a president can do, they sent back the documents, no questions asked. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if it's true. It was nowhere in the affidavit, but I heard in some news programming that the archive said, FedEx them to us. Just FedEx them to us or email them to us or whatever. And a lot of these exchanges were going on with email. So if they're so, these documents are so important to national security, you're going to put them in the hands of FedEx? Well, listen, I'd use that as a FedEx commercial.
I'm still waiting for a package for 9 years.
So they're trying to paint a picture. They're giving the news media something to hang their hat on. And now the question becomes, are they going to indict a former president? Well, they impeached him twice. So if they indict him, who's going to sit on the jury? I mean, and what is the indictment going to be about? Is the case going to be that you took paper that you weren't supposed to take and you said you weren't going to give it back, which we know is not the case because he did it. He gave it back, and then they wanted 12 more documents, and then they raided his house. So just, be vigilant, people. When you're listening to the story, remember the BS narrative that they put together, in the past about Trump and Russia and everything else. And the fact that when it was Hunter Biden who had all these things that we now know are true, they clammed up. They absolutely clammed up. And any rate, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, everyone out there. So in my opinion, if the FBI was going to look at anything, why aren't they looking at this?
Two men arrested near the Mexican border accused of trying to sneak into the United States. Both of them later found to be on the FBI's terror watch list and a no-fly list. These were two separate incidents. They were both from Yemen, but it's not clear if they knew one another. Officials say one of them was hiding a cell phone SIM card underneath the sole of his shoe.
Of course.
Walking right in at the border of Mexico. Why aren't we holding Joe Biden responsible for that? I don't understand. Why is the FBI not looking at that?
Because they want them all in here to vote for them.
Well, I guess so. Well, and talk about social media. Libs of TikTok, our friend, you remember, they have permanently banned her account from Twitter. And here's why. Watch this one.
Libs of TikTok is supposedly back in Twitter jail. Over the weekend, CEO of the Babylon Bee tweeted that the account has been locked out for violating the platform's rules against hateful conduct. The content that spurred all this is an audio recording of a phone conversation between the Libs of TikTok creator and a Children's National Hospital. So during the discussion, the hospital appears to admit that they do perform gender-affirming hysterectomies on minors. So let's take a listen to this audio.
Thank you for calling National Hospital. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance.
I was calling for information about gender-affirming hysterectomies.
Okay, you said gender-affirming hysterectomy.
I've been in touch with quite a few hospitals, and a lot of them, well, they said they won't do it for my 16-year-old, and then I was told that this hospital might, and I also saw it on your website. So if you guys do it for a 16-year-old, I would be happy for to come for a consultation or whatever it takes.
Let me get you over to the operator, and I hate to transfer you.
I just want to know if you guys do service that age, before coming all the way for an in-person consult and going through all the paperwork and everything.
Yeah, it depends. Like, each department is different. Some departments cut off for 18. How old is your patient?
16.
Okay, all right. So they're in the clear. I'll email Dr. Call and see what we can do. In the meantime, if you still want me to transfer you, I can still transfer you to surgery.
Let you know the steps and the protocol that they do for that, okay?
Okay. So they would do it for that age?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is it a common procedure that you guys do for that age?
Yes, we have all different type of age groups that comes in for that.
For the hysterectomy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, do you know what's the youngest age you would do it on?
I'm not sure, but I have seen younger kids, and I'm not, either hip. I'm not allowed to say that, but I have seen younger kids, younger than your child's age.
Get the gender-affirming hysterectomy surgery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I needed one, and it took me like 3 doctors to find one.
think about this. There are countries that circumcise young women and, on their parents' say so. And they actually kill young women on their parents' say so. And it's perfectly okay. We are now, yes, Margie says it's terrifying. It is terrifying. We are in a situation where under 16-year-olds can get gender reassignment surgery. Now, listen, this is this is something that for some people very important, but to be doing these surgeries on minors, and if you speak to any psychiatrist or any clinician who works with trans community, so many who have undergone surgery at a young age later on you want to change back, and that's a fact, and you can look that up, and that's
why my very dear friend is going to therapy for almost 2 years. You have to sit with a therapist, no matter how old you are. You could be 50, you could be 60. They will not do it unless you sit through therapy weekly, daily, to speak about it before making such a life-altering decision. So,
and at 16 years old,
no, my son is going to be 18 and he's still eating bagels and pizza. He doesn't even know what he wants to eat. You don't know. You don't know. You can know. I mean, but you're not an adult.
But they're sterilizing. Once they sterilize you, once they give you a hysterectomy, then that's it. You're done. You can't put it back. You can't put it back. And it just goes to, talk about what is it that we're doing? Are we encouraging this, especially in America, to stop the American population from growing? Is that what we're trying to do? Are we trying to confuse our young people so that we don't have children in America, so that other countries that have fewer rights than ours and where the elites have total control, is that what we're looking to do here? I mean, as I said, in Nigeria and some other countries, circumcising a girl at age 5 or 6 or 7 so that they don't enjoy sex, so that they only do their duty and procreate, but don't stray from their husband. That's a normal part of their culture, and we have been fighting against that from the United States, supporting women's rights, in those countries. Now suddenly the children's hospital here is trying to be cool, jumping on board, and on top of it all, the information that Libs of TikTok got about the gender reassignment surgery was taken from their website. So she took it from their website. She posted something about it. Twitter gave her a warning, and people, went after her as being anti-trans. And then she made this call, which is something that, and people might say, she was pretending, blah, blah, that wasn't right. Well, let me just tell you something. Years ago, when reporters were chasing stories, that's how they did it. That's how they got the information that they needed.
That's how they got to January 6th.
And in New York, a call, only one person on the call needs to know that the call is being recorded. But at the beginning of the call, you heard them say, it's Children's Hospital. This call is being recorded. Okay, so
thank God.
Right? Thank God. So think about that. I mean, this is crazy, but she's now been banned from TikTok, from Twitter. Used to require therapy and at age 18 living as the other gender for years while continuing therapy before any physical changes were started. And because that's right, Colleen, but because it's so easy now and so accessible, we have people who are terribly confused and who are going through these surgeries and these hormone therapies way too early without all the support. And then they want to come back or change back. And that becomes an issue in and of itself. So just think about that. But once again, Libs of TikTok, they said it was for hateful speech. She was taken out for hateful speech. So what about that was hateful? She did nothing except for ask questions and get the information and put it out there. Now, according to Libs, and I didn't look, they changed their website, but she took screenshots. She sent emails out. I'm on her mailing list, and I saw it. It did say 16 on the website, and now it says 18 years old. So why'd they run so fast to change everything? If everything was copacetic and it was all cool, why did they change everything on their website? So things to think about, people. The narrative is being shoved down our throat. So I think if the FBI is going to do anything, they better find out what the heck is up with Richard Simmons.
Oh, God.
Where did Richard Simmons go?
There are strong fears for the safety and well-being of the star.
So what happened to Richard Simmons? Well, after a 2-year public absence, the fitness guru broke his silence and addressed all kinds of rumors with ET. Weight gain, witchcraft, even kidnapping.
No, I'm not kidnapped. I'm under no spell. Sometimes we get lost in our sadness.
Here's what had people really concerned. Now, our last sit down with Richard was in August of 2013, and this moment caught our attention.
When the king gets depressed, he doesn't call for his wife or the cook. He calls for the little man with the pointed hat. And he says to the court jester, "Make me laugh." And I am that court jester.
On Saturday, in a story called The Haunted Twilight of Richard Simmons, the New York Daily News cited a former friend who claimed Richard is being tormented by witchcraft under the control of his housekeeper. That appears to be the housekeeper, Teresa, today at his house. ET's executive producer asked Richard about her.
Is she holding you hostage?
Oh no, Teresa has been with me for 30 years. So we're like an old married couple.
Well, when was the last time you actually left your house?
Well, I go out on rides and I go on walks, but I haven't done any television lately. I still weigh 150. I work out every day. I have a gym here at the house, and I'm very healthy. There was time for me to take some time to be by myself.
No, he's being tortured with witchcraft. I spoke to him, remember?
I do remember. But think about how many, Richard Simmons disappears and obesity is off the charts. I mean, think about how many pear-shaped people there are in the world today that could use Richard Simmons' help. If the FBI wants to do a service for the American public, they better find out what the hell is going on with Richard Simmons.
Also the maker of leotards.
He is the maker of it, and he made them cool. I mean, come on. He's the creator of jazzercise. I mean, didn't everybody want to see 350-pound, 50-year-old people jumping up and down in leotards? That's what the FBI should be focusing on. Not Trump, not his paperwork, not trying to discredit.
Where Richard Simmons is.
Yeah.
Yes.
To me, I want my tax dollars to find out if Richard Simmons is under a spell.
There's a problem when the National Enquirer makes more sense than the regular news. When those stories become true, we're fucked.
Well, they were right all along, right? I mean, now we have the UFOs around. I mean,
are they even still around anymore? Those magazines?
Yeah, it's definitely your grandmother watches.
Yeah, my grandmother reads it.
Your grandmother gets those magazines all the time. Chris says he watched that episode where I thought that was very sad of Richard Simmons, that the jester, is sad, and we ought to be doing something to cheer him up. And but yeah,
Richard Simmons, if you're watching, which I know you're not,
if you're one of the 8 people that are watching,
because even though you're locked in your house, you still have a life.
Well, maybe we got to get to his housekeeper. If his housekeeper watches, then she'll make him watch. I conjure up that movie with Kathy Bates. I
was gonna say when I was watching that, I thought to myself, misery.
Misery. That's it. Yeah. But I mean, what a shame. It's any rate. So that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we pulled everything together in one place and you get a good look at what's going on with our FBI that our tax dollars are paying for, and the narrative that they're trying to create ahead of the midterm elections and ahead of 2024. Of course, I have hiccups now. Excuse me, Jen, talk.
Yeah. What kind of shirt are you wearing? It looks like a Golden Girl shirt from here.
It is a Golden Girl.
Oh my God. You've been gone for 2 months. What happened?
I haven't been gone for 2 months.
Are those shoulder pads?
No, those are my shoulders.
Okay. Oh my God! Where did you get that from?
I don't have a full-length mirror. Right now, my house is being torn apart in South Carolina.
Don't use that as
I'm
an
back.
excuse because you bought that shirt.
I did. I know it was me. Yeah, I bought the shirt. I bought the shirt, but I have no washing machine, so I can't wash any of my cool shirts. But I did buy this.
Is that
shirt.
the excuse?
This is my shirt. I bought it. It actually doesn't look really bad, but it's a Golden Girls shirt.
I'm like, are those palm trees on her shoulders? And jewels? Is that bedazzled?
It's not bedazzled.
Oh,
that's my cross.
No, I'm looking at here. What is
that? No, there's no bedazzling. There's nothing. It's just
ugly.
It's black dots.
It's full of ugly.
It's not ugly. Hey, listen, I'm gonna be 60 years old next year, and I'm retiring. Yeah, okay. Well, come on down, Jen, and buy me some clothes.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope the Republicans in New York actually take Kathy Hochul's advice and, move to states where you're free, because I got to tell you, I'm spending more and more time in the South, and it is just amazing. I was in North Carolina with Colleen and John, and oh my God, it was wonderful to be free there. Now I'm in South Carolina and
buying ugly shirts.
But I have ugly shirts, and I have a Glock 19 that I own and I can shoot.
You're going to need that for the fashion police when they come to find you. It's ridiculous.
Here, do you want
Does
me
it say
to
grandma on it?
I'll be like you. Your shoulders are nicer than me. How are you more tan than I am, and I'm in the South? All right, well.
I'm in New York. We don't work.
Yeah, we don't. Well, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday. It's great to see you all and have you here. Great show, ladies. I guess I better go south too. Tammy, come on down, honey. Come visit. I have a 3-bedroom condo. Anyone who wants to come visit and test out what it's like to live in America.
After the cabinets are out of the bedrooms, because I was told I was not allowed to come down.
That's right. Weeks. Yeah. We've got to wait. I've got a dining room full of cabinets. I got a bedroom full of everything.
On our beds. Yeah.
That was in my cabinets. The only room that's kind of free is this room. My bedroom is even a mess. So, but when it's all done, I will take you on a tour of the place. Anyway, Jennifer, I'm sorry that the people on the patio was not a segment in tonight's show.
That's fine.
Maybe next Tuesday.
Okay.
Love you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.